Welcome to Rude Tuner's Arcade. I'm your host RT, and today we're going to dive into one of Nintendo's most classic NES games of all time that in some ways shaped a lot of our childhoods, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Now whether you're a retro gaming fan, new to the classics, you've either heard or definitely played this game. Probably your mom played it, your grandma played it, everybody has played or heard of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Released in 1987 for the NES, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out is a boxing game that's so much more than just button mashing. Now Nintendo partnered with Mike Tyson himself, the heavyweight champ at one time, to create this iconic title. This was back when Nintendo was really finding its footing as a household name, and Punch-Out helped cement its legacy. So you play as Little Mac, an underdog boxer from the Bronx who's trying to punch his way to the top. What's your ultimate goal, you ask? To win the championship belt and earn the right for the dream match to face off against the man himself, Iron Mike Tyson. Now getting to him might be simple enough, but beating Mike Tyson in this game, no easy task. Trust me, he beat the brakes off me 4 times just so I can make this video. Now let's talk about gameplay. At first glance, Punch-Out might look like a simple boxing game, but trust me, it's anything but that. With this game, it's all about timing, strategy, and figuring out your opponent's patterns. Every fighter you face has unique moves, quirks, and weaknesses. For example, take Glass Joe. Now he's the first fighter and kind of a pushover. But as you climb through the ranks, you'll face guys that you kinda gotta do a pattern with, such as King Hippo. Has good defense, hits like a truck, but does have a weakness. Or you got people who can one-shot you like Ball Bull, who's got the famous Bull Charge. Each fight feels like a puzzle, and it's so satisfying when you finally figure it out if it's your first time playing the game. Now one of the best things, and probably one of the most standout things of Punch-Out, is the colorful cast of characters. Each opponent has a larger-than-life personality, so let's break them down and look at our fighters. First up, you got Glass Joe. Now this guy, he was actually in the Punch-Out arcade game. He's the first boxer here, and he was the first boxer there. He represents the ultimate underdog, but in reverse. His record is hilariously bad, and his timid attitude makes him a fan favorite for comic reasons. Think of him kind of like the comic relief. This is the guy where you learn all your moves, learn your punches, and see what your boxer can do. Next up, we got Von Kaiser. This German fighter has a military-like demeanor, but is secretly insecure. His exaggerated expressions when he gets hits make him stand out. And then we have the infamous Piston Honda. And this is one of the few fighters in the game that you'll fight 2 times. So often he's referred to this version as Piston Honda 1 and Piston Honda 2. And each time you fight him, he does have the same animations, however he does have a different moveset. And some can even argue that the second time you fight Piston Honda, known as Piston Honda 2, is actually easier than the first one. So he's a proud Japanese fighter, respectful but fierce, and his signature Honda Rush is the real test of your reflexes, if you don't know how to counter it. King Hippo, easily one of the most memorable characters, his massive size, over-the-top attack power, and his unique weakness, punching him when his mouth's open, and then giving him a crazy combination to the stomach. Great Tiger, now this guy used to give me trouble back in the day when I first got the game. A mystical fighter from India with a love for illusions. The spinning teleport move is tricky to counter and adds a unique challenge. And next we got Ball Bull. He's another character that you're going to fight 2 times through this game. Ball Bull 2 is definitely harder than the second time you fight him. Now this character, in my opinion, I think Ball Bull is probably the most iconic character in the game. I mean, this guy, he's made crossovers to other games such as obviously the arcade, Super Punch-Out, the Wii version of Punch-Out, and actually make crossovers to another arcade game, Nintendo's Arm Wrestling, as the mysterious Mr. X. The main thing he's known for is his Bull Charge, and the classic counter of a shot to the breadbasket. We also have Don Flamenco. Now he's another character that appears 2 times in the game, and the first time he's laughable, the second time he actually puts up a fight. This Spanish fighter is all about style and flair. He's cocky, often taunting you with his exaggerated poses and dance moves, but don't let all the antics fool you. His counters can catch you off guard if you're not paying attention. Next up, we have Soda Popinski. Now originally named Vodka Drunkinski in the arcade version, and actually there were 2 Punch-Out arcade games before this one. Now a lot of people know the regular Punch-Out in the arcade, but some might have never heard of Super Punch-Out. Now that was actually an arcade game, and it wasn't quite as abundant as the regular Punch-Out game. So a lot of people, including myself, didn't play that game until later on. Anyway, back to Soda Popinski, the vodka Drunkinski was obviously censored for American audiences. As far as his background, this Russian fighter is obsessed with his soda bottle, and his taunts and high energy punches make him both intimidating and amusing. And you gotta be careful, sometimes his timing can be a little weird as well. Another famous character that I say might be a close run with Bald Bull is Mr. Sandman. Now, to give Mr. Sandman credit, he's pretty much hard in every game. He's hard in the arcade, he's hard on this game, somewhat. In my opinion, he's super hard in the Wii version of Punch-Out. Now, he's a heavy hitter who's all business. His calm yet intense demeanor makes him one of the most feared opponents. And lots of times he's actually the champ. This particular game, not so much. And lastly, we have none other than Super Macho Man. And I always think of the Super Nintendo version where when they say his name, they're like, Super Macho Man. If you ever played that game, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, this Hollywood-inspired fighter is a flashy showman with his muscular physique and love for limelight. But don't get it twisted, he's as much about entertainment as he is about the boxing. And people sleep on Super Macho Man in this game. If you don't know the patterns, or if you're sleeping, this dude can put you out. I think that makes him the perfect setup for the final boss. Now, he has a spin punch move, and that's one of the most dangerous attacks in the game. It can definitely one-shot you. Now, there's two versions of it. One where he does it once, you can survive, but when he spins all the way around after a knockdown, that's a one-shot. And he can do it, believe it or not, up to 12 times. And if you could beat all those fighters, of course, at the end, there's Mike Tyson, the ultimate challenge. And in this game, he's definitely a challenge. Basically, the first round and a half, all his punches are lightning uppercuts, and one hit, you're gonna get one shot. So be extra careful with that. If you happen to survive the first minute and a half, you do have a shot of beating him. And then there's side characters. You have Little Mac's coach, Doc Lewis, and this dude has tons of personality. Always shouting advice or encouraging Mac with lines like, which I thought was so stupid as a kid, joined the Nintendo Fun Club today. I mean, this dude, with a trainer like that, I mean, he's terrible. I mean, now they did give him redemption with the, in my opinion, with the Wii version of him, but in this version, yeah, man. Anyway, and also, I think what Nintendo did a good job with this is in between rounds, the fighters often have unique dialogue. Also adding to the fact that if you're fighting an opponent that you already fought before, like meaning you're fighting them the second time around, they will make references to the first fight sometimes, which in my opinion is a good attention to detail by Nintendo. And one thing, we can't talk about Punch-Out without mentioning the iconic training scene. Between circuits, you'll see Little Mac jogging through New York City with Doc Lewis riding a bike next to him. For years, I always thought they could have fixed that animation of him running. He only has two things. He's sliding across New York. But, you know, take it for what it was, with the game being almost perfect in my mind, I can let this one slide. No pun intended. And the iconic music playing in the back, this thing's been memed to death. In my opinion, this scene is absolute perfection. It's one of the most memorable moments in gaming history. Now, how about the graphics and sound? Well, for an NES game, the graphics in Punch-Out are nothing short but amazing. The characters are big, bold, and full of personality and highly detailed. Each fighter has their own unique animations and design, which really brings them to life, in my opinion. Some of them actually have intros. You have the crowd music, the ringing of the bell, and it all comes together and creates a perfect atmosphere of an NES boxing game. Now let's talk about the difficulty in the game. I feel like the first half of the game is pretty easy. It kind of shows you how to play the game, and the second half of the game can get a little challenging, especially if it's your first time through. By the time you get to the world circuit, you might be sweating bullets. And Mike Tyson, this dude's just stupid. Like I said, he beat me 4 times before I was finally able to beat him. Now granted, in my defense, I haven't played this game in years. However, it wasn't like I was close. I mean, the first 2 or 3 times, I didn't even get past the first minute and 30 seconds. So if you're having the same problem, don't feel bad. Now the game on a whole, on a basic level, it's pretty fun, and you can pick it up once you memorize all the patterns. However, there's a certain magic about this game, in my opinion, that keeps bringing you back for more. And what I mean by that is, now when I play Punch-Out, yeah, I got the patterns down. I won't lose pretty much until I get to Mike Tyson. However, I've seen guys, if you get a chance, I highly recommend you look at experts play this game. Guys who have, because I mean, there's times, I mean, I know you can get stars on Soda Popinski, and it's very hard to do. I get him randomly, and it's hard to get even uppercut him because he dodges a lot. But there's guys who got speed run patterns. Definitely check those out. I feel like when you watch those guys play this game, what they show you is you're not even playing Punch-Out. You think you're playing Punch-Out. These guys just perfected these patterns, and It's pretty amazing to see even 35 years later. And something this game has that a lot of people didn't know about is there's actually and people never use it, I never use it, but it's actually a duck command. You can push down on the control pad twice and little Mac will do a dodging animation. I mean, never used, but it's in there if you ever want to try it. Also, I'm sure everybody knows this, but in between rounds, you get one time to push select and Doc Lewis will give you a little bit of your energy back. Alright, so we gotta answer that question, was Punch-Out any good? Of course, I mean, there's no other answer for that. I mean, Punch-Out was a classic. It's still a classic to this day. It still comes up in pop culture. I feel like this game did everything right. If I had to give it a score out of 10, I'd give it definitely one of the few games to get a 10 out of 10 in my book. I mean, the gameplay is insanely fun, challenging if it's your first time playing it. The characters are memorable and they would live on in many of the sequels and revisions of the game. The music was iconic. I mean, this game did everything right in 1987 for the NES. One of my favorites, chef kiss to this game. So let me know in the comments, guys, what you guys think about Punch-Out. What was your experience with it? Have you ever played Mike Tyson's Punch-Out? And if you haven't, definitely, if you're a retro collector or you're new to the scene, definitely give this one a shot. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, rate, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that way you don't miss any more game reviews or gaming news on this channel. With that, guys, as always, take care of yourself, protect your inner peace, God bless you, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.